Good morning, guys. Last night we weren't actually as cold as I had predicted, or rather, as the Weather Channel had predicted recently last night. We were not at 9-degree temperatures, and we will not be, thank God. It was more of like in the 20s, so it wasn't that bad. I'm really thankful for that because honestly, my apartment's not huge, but I run off of 2 little tiny ceramic heaters, and yeah, it gets colder at night, obviously, so it's really hard to keep it warm, especially because there's a bit of a draft. I'm in a very old house. But last night when I got home, I saw an update on that story I was talking about of the 5 people who died in New Mexico at the hands of a 15-year-old boy who was their son. Apparently the young boy fibbed at first, telling his girlfriend about it and saying that his parents and his 3 siblings had died in a car crash. He said then that it was said then that the girlfriend's grandmother started asking questions, and then he was later called into the pastor's office. He was at church. He showed up at church after it happened, shortly after, actually. The church officials got suspicious and called police. When they initially talked to the boy, he said he came home around 5:30 that morning from a friend's home and the doors were locked. Then, he said, he saw his father's dead carcass on the ground floor. After finding his mother and brother's body on his parents' bed, he then took a set of car keys from the mother's purse and drove the family van to the church. And that's what the documents are quoted as saying. Apparently, when the police arrived at the home, they found the 5 bodies, later identified those of the father, mother, and 3 of actually their 10 children, which the others were not home at the time. So if the other ones had been, they probably would have been killed too. But now they have no parents. That's just, you know. Anyway, so then the real story started coming out because he started talking about how he was having suicidal thoughts, and then began to explain what was really happening because police asked him why he drove the family van with 2 rifles inside to the church without having called 911, and he had claimed he panicked. So he went on to say he shot his mom with a .22 rifle around midnight as she slept. He said his 9-year-old brother woke up after the gunfire and that he told him he had just shot their mother. When his brother didn't believe him, the 15-year-old picked up his mother's bloodied face, her head, from her hair and showed it to him. And when he started freaking out, he decided to shoot his brother in the head as well. Then he went downstairs. Well, no. He went to the bedroom of his 2 younger sisters and found them crying. Then he said he shot both of them in the head as well. He proceeded to go downstairs and wait for his father to come home at 5 a.m. that morning. He told police he shot his father multiple times with an AR-15 semi-automatic rifle with a scope, then reloaded the weapons with the intention of driving to an area where he could shoot more people. His intention was that he wanted to die exchanging gunfire with law enforcement. It's a 15-year-old boy. What's going on? In the press conference, it was mentioned that his father was a wonderful, service-oriented person, and the young man has no history with the juvenile justice system. The only thing one person said that kind of knew the family, made the child seem odd to him, was that he always wore nothing but camouflage stuff. So that's something right there. Once again, it came out of nowhere. 1 of 10 children. He seemed pretty normal, had a girlfriend, went to church. But, you know, this also brings up a reminder that I like to give people, do not let the media's description of these offenders be your targets for hate. You can't predict someone's thoughts and intentions by what music they listen to, the movies or TV they like to watch, the video games they play, or the clothing they wear. And to treat anyone differently would just be wrong and cause pain to those who might never have the thought of actually harming anyone. Heck, it might even be the thing that pushes that person to do it. So don't let the media rule you. You know, that's the main thing I want you to know. Don't let the media rule your perception. I know personally, I don't know if you've noticed this, but most of the time I don't mention names of the people involved in things like this. And the reason why is it's not just out of respect, because the loss of them known is enough to be saddened by, but we don't need to go looking these people up. Knowing their names is not going to help us if they've already done this thing. It doesn't matter. Most of them are going to wind up booked in the criminal justice system or something. We're never going to see them anyway, so what's the point? And the people that died, they've already been lost. Now, I can understand for some purposes, knowing the ones that died being able to send funds to the families and things like that, that I understand. But when it comes to something and you're that disconnected like this is all the way in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and they're not posting anything for donations or anything, or I would probably be putting that at the end of the video. These people, they've had enough happen to their family. They don't need their name spread throughout everything or to be targeted by the media any more than they already have for the tragedy that's been caused. Sometimes I feel like the media can be really insensitive, and I know it sounds really insensitive sometimes when I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe this happened, guess what happened, but at the same time, you kind of got to be vague about it. It happened, it's tragic, we need to know when bad things happen, but we don't need to bother the people that were involved unless they need help. So that's just how I see it. That's why I do what I do when I'm reporting these kinds of things. I don't mention people's names unless it's kind of just here or there, and it's not in way of a tragedy. But we'll just go ahead and move on to something that's a little less sad. Now, maybe this doesn't, at first it does, but it got my attention when I saw the article title. Apparently a father of a 23-year-old MMO addict in China took out a hit on his own son because he got tired of him always playing and never getting a real job. Now, okay, before you cement that look of shock in your face, I want you to go on ahead and smile and laugh because this is funny. It was a cyber hit. He didn't actually kill his son. He had other MMO players, and he paid them actual money to jump and kill his son's MMO character every time he logged on, to discourage him from playing the game. The father told the news that his 23-year-old son scored poor grades in high school because of his gaming addiction, and things didn't get any better after he graduated, and he wouldn't stick with any jobs. Then the son was quoted as saying he's not addicted to games. He just doesn't bother getting a job yet because he's waiting for the right one to come along. Okay, now I have an idea how to get my kids to come to dinner when they want to get off their games in the future when I have kids and stuff. Except I won't hire a hitman. I'll do it myself. Don't listen to Mom. She's going to come to the game and she's going to beat you up. Anyway, no, I just thought that was funny. You don't hear about that kind of a thing happening. I guess that's why it was in the news, but it's kind of funny. I didn't ever think of that, somebody hiring a cyber hitman to kill your MMO character. Now, I know a lot of people in WoW would get ganked. I know a lot of hardcore players don't play WoW anymore because of that, because it's just, you either get ganked or you gank people. That's all that game's turned into. Anyway, but I'll just go ahead and move on since it's a good laugh. Now, the last story goes to the birds. Well, and what I mean by that is, well, it's more about cats, and it might very well go to the birds, which would be a bad thing for cat lovers, because this is taking place in New Zealand, where bird enthusiasts are trying to ban cats. And I'm thinking, whoa, wait, what, ban cats? You're probably thinking the same thing. Why the hell would you ban cats? Cats are awesome. For thousands of years, though, apparently New Zealand's native birds had no predators and flourished. Some species, like the kiwi, became flightless, and the arrival of mankind and its introduction of predators like cats, dogs, and rodents has wiped out some native bird species altogether and endangered many others. One man who was upset by this fact called on his fellow citizens Tuesday to make their current cat their last in order to save the nation's unique bird species. He set up a website called Cats to Go, depicting a tiny kitten with red devil horns, and the opening line, and I quote, is, "That little ball of fluff you own is a natural-born killer." Really? Okay, so more on this. He doesn't recommend people euthanize their cats. Not necessarily, but this is an option, are the site's exact words, but rather neuter them and not replace them when they die. The site also suggests people keep their cats indoors and that the local governments make a registration mandatory. The incentive was described as, imagine New Zealand teeming with native wildlife. Penguins on the beach, kiwis roaming around in your garden. Imagine hearing bird song in our cities. That does sound nice, but getting rid of cats. I mean, it says here many New Zealanders are against the campaign. For some reason, that's really hard to say. Even in the website, on this website, 70% Tuesday were voting against making their current cat their last. Well, I mean, cat. My mom even has this plaque on her front door. It says, "Cats are like potato chips. You can't have just one." I have two myself. You know, I mean, some people do have just one, but that's their baby. It's a little different. They have more time with their cat then. But, anyway, the science remains unclear, though. Some argue that cats may actually help native birds by reducing the population of rodents, which sometimes feed on bird eggs. And a scientist of the name David Winter said cats are indeed a problem in New Zealand, having contributed to the extinction of at least half a dozen New Zealand bird species. But still, he added, what hope is there for environmentalists in conversation where our side wants to take people's kittens away? Even he thinks it's crazy. So, I mean, just, wow, I can't believe this is an actual thing going on right now somewhere. I mean, sometimes my babies, they upset me. My kitties don't always, you know, they sleep on the counter and they're not supposed to, so I always have to wipe it down before I use my countertops, things like that, and it upsets me. And I've tried things like spray bottles and shaking jars of money to scare them away from the idea, but sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But still, I mean, I even had outdoor cats that would kill things like squirrels and birds, like blue jays and cardinals, really pretty birds that I liked, and it really upset me growing up. But that didn't make me think to punish the cat for doing what it was born to do, instinctively to hunt. It's the people's fault, not the cat's. Don't hurt the cat because the people didn't do their job when it came to being a responsible person or an owner. So honestly, yes, this mandatory registration of the cat, I think, is a good idea. Maybe keeping them indoor, outdoor, kind of an idea. Maybe monitoring them a little bit here and there. Maybe that should be a thing. But getting rid of cats altogether, no. But anyway, I'm not going to go on ahead and beat everybody over the head with this. It's just, you know, I'll let y'all think about that. I hope this has been a thought-provoking video, and I'd love to hear from you guys, so please comment. I'd really like to start talking. I noticed that sometimes some of you watch it and you don't comment, but I'd like to encourage you to say something, you know. Even if it's, hey, I really like this article, hope to see more things like this in the future. Just please let me know. Anyway, though, have a great day, and I'll see y'all later. Bye.